The notification chimed on my phone at exactly 11:47 p.m. as I sat in my home office reviewing client security protocols. Ashley Chen had sent me a message through Instagram, which was strange since we'd never communicated directly before. She was Mike's colleague at MedTech Solutions, someone I'd met briefly at a few company parties but barely knew beyond polite small talk about Austin's unpredictable weather. I opened the message expecting perhaps a question about an upcoming office gathering or maybe a request for Mike's contact information for work purposes. Instead, my screen filled with 5 carefully curated photographs that made my blood run cold, then surprisingly warm with something that felt almost like relief. The first photo showed Ashley and my husband Mike sharing an intimate dinner at the Driskill Hotel's restaurant, her manicured hand resting possessively on his arm as he leaned in close, both of them laughing at some private joke. The second captured them walking hand in hand through Zilker Park during what I now realized had been one of Mike's supposed client golf meetings last month. The third showed them kissing passionately in what appeared to be a hotel room, Ashley's designer dress partially unzipped, Mike's wedding ring clearly visible as his hands tangled down her long black hair. But it was the fourth and fifth photos that revealed Ashley's true intention behind this midnight message. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. Both were selfies taken in my own home, in my own bedroom, with Ashley wearing nothing but one of Mike's dress shirts while he slept peacefully beside her in our king-sized bed. She'd positioned the camera to capture the family photos on our nightstand, the custom artwork I'd selected for our walls, the monogrammed pillowcases I'd given Mike for our 10th anniversary 3 years ago. The accompanying message was brief but loaded with venom disguised as false concern. Jen, I think you deserve to know the truth about Mike and me. We've been together for 8 months now, and he's finally ready to start a real life with someone who actually understands him. He's planning to ask for a divorce after the MedTech annual conference next month. I thought it would be kinder coming from me first. No hard feelings, I hope. You seem like a nice person, but sometimes relationships just run their course. Ashley, I set my phone down on my desk and stared at the wall of monitors that dominated my home office, each screen displaying different security feeds from around our house, real-time network traffic analysis, and the various digital forensics projects I managed for my consulting firm. The irony wasn't lost on me that Ashley had chosen to deliver this revelation to someone who specialized in digital evidence recovery and cybersecurity analysis. What Ashley didn't know, what Mike had never bothered to understand despite 12 years of marriage, was that I had spent the last 15 years building expertise in exactly the kind of digital surveillance and evidence gathering that could document every electronic footprint of their affair. My background with the FBI's cybercrime unit, followed by nearly a decade running my own digital forensics consulting firm, had taught me that people who believed they were technologically sophisticated were often the most vulnerable to real digital investigation. Ashley clearly thought she was delivering a devastating blow, assuming I was just another suburban wife who handled the household technology needs, while remaining blissfully unaware of the sophisticated surveillance capabilities built into our modern connected home. Mike had always introduced me at company functions as his wife who handled all the computer stuffs. A dismissive description that made me sound like tech support rather than someone who commanded 6-figure consulting fees from Fortune 500 companies, desperate to understand how their sensitive data had been compromised. The truth was that I had been watching Mike and Ashley's relationship develop for months, not through jealous spying or emotional detective work, but through the natural course of monitoring our home's digital security system. When your profession involves tracking data breaches and analyzing digital behavior patterns, certain anomalies in your own network traffic become impossible to ignore. I had first noticed the irregularities in our home network back in March, when unusual data usage patterns appeared on our monthly internet bill. As someone who monitored digital security for major corporations, I routinely analyzed our household network traffic as part of maintaining professional-grade cybersecurity. The spikes in data usage during specific time windows, particularly during hours when I was at client meetings, suggested someone was uploading or downloading significant amounts of content from our home network. Initially, I assumed Mike had started working from home more frequently, perhaps downloading large presentation files or participating in video conferences with international clients. The pharmaceutical industry had been increasingly dependent on digital communication tools, and Mike's position as regional sales director often required him to coordinate with teams across different time zones. However, the digital forensics specialist in me couldn't ignore certain patterns that didn't align with typical business usage. The data streams were happening during odd hours, often late morning or early afternoon, and the upload patterns suggested high-resolution image and video files rather than business documents or conference calls. More concerning was that these activities were happening on our guest network, which Mike had never used before, and they were often accompanied by multiple device connections that I couldn't immediately identify. My professional instincts kicked in, and I began implementing the same monitoring protocols I used for corporate clients who suspected internal data breaches. I configured our smart home security system to maintain more detailed logs of device connections, installed network monitoring software that could identify specific applications generating traffic, and began maintaining encrypted backups of all system activity. What I discovered over the following weeks painted a picture that was both personally devastating and professionally fascinating. Mike was indeed working from home more frequently, but not in the way I had imagined. The data uploads were primarily to social media platforms and cloud storage services, generated by devices that weren't registered to our household account. The timing of these activities consistently coincided with calendar appointments Mike had marked as client meetings or regional planning sessions. The breakthrough came when I identified one of the unknown devices connecting to our network as Ashley's iPhone, which our smart home system had logged through its Bluetooth signature when she'd briefly connected to our Wi-Fi during a company barbecue we'd hosted in our backyard the previous summer. Once I had that device identifier, I could track every subsequent connection and correlate it with Mike's calendar entries. The digital trail revealed a relationship that had been developing with remarkable consistency over nearly 8 months. Ashley's device connected to our network an average of 3 times per week, always during business hours when I was typically at client sites or industry conferences. The connection duration ranged from 2 to 6 hours, and the data activity during these periods included extensive photo and video uploads, social media posting, and what appeared to be video calling applications. But what truly demonstrated the depth of their carelessness was the fact that both Mike and Ashley had been using our home Wi-Fi to access their personal cloud storage account, which meant their login sessions were passing through network monitoring systems I had installed specifically to detect unauthorized data access. Without realizing it, they had been conducting their entire digital relationship under the surveillance of enterprise-grade security monitoring tools. The personal photos Ashley had just sent me were actually among the least revealing evidence I had compiled. My network logs contained records of every image they had uploaded to private shared albums, every intimate video call they had conducted using our bandwidth, every location data point shared through their messaging applications when those apps synced across our network. More damaging was the evidence of how their relationship had evolved into potential corporate liability. Ashley's device logs showed that she had been accessing Mike's medtech company accounts from our home network, downloading client files and internal communications that she had no authorized access to. As a cybersecurity professional, I recognized this as a serious breach of corporate data security that could expose medtech to regulatory violations and potential lawsuits. The pharmaceutical industry was heavily regulated, with strict protocols governing who could access client information and under what circumstances. Ashley's position as a marketing coordinator didn't provide authorization for the sales reports, client contact databases, and strategic planning documents that her device had been downloading from Mike's account. Mike, in his eagerness to impress his young colleague, had been sharing confidential business information that could constitute trade secret theft under federal law. I had been documenting all of this activity for months, initially as a professional exercise in digital forensics methodology, but increasingly as preparation for what I knew would eventually become a necessary conversation about the future of our marriage. The evidence I had compiled would be relevant, not just to divorce proceedings, but potentially to criminal investigations, if MedTech's corporate security team ever audited their data access logs. Ashley's midnight photo message had simply accelerated a timeline I had been developing since discovering the first suspicious network activity. She clearly intended to devastate me with evidence of their physical relationship, not realizing that I possessed comprehensive documentation of their digital relationship that was far more incriminating than any romantic self. The photos she sent showed moments of personal intimacy that would certainly be painful for any spouse to see. But the digital evidence I had been collecting showed a pattern of corporate espionage, data theft, and potentially criminal violations of federal privacy regulation. Ashley thought she was revealing an affair, but I had been documenting what appeared to be a conspiracy to steal confidential business information. As I sat in my office staring at the photos on my phone, I realized that Ashley had just provided me with the final piece of evidence I needed to demonstrate that their relationship had progressed beyond personal betrayal into potential criminal liability. The photos taken in our bedroom weren't just evidence of adultery. They were time-stamped proof that Ashley had been in our home during hours when Mike's MedTech laptop would have been accessible, potentially providing her with physical access to confidential files beyond what she had already downloaded remotely. The smart home security system I had installed throughout our house had been recording continuously for the past 18 months, maintaining encrypted video logs of all areas except bathrooms and Mike's private office space. The bedroom photos Ashley had just sent me would allow me to correlate specific dates and times with security footage, creating an undeniable timeline of her presence in our home and her potential access to confidential business material. More importantly, the fact that she had chosen to send these photos through Instagram, a Meta-owned platform with extensive data retention policies and legal cooperation protocols, meant that this evidence would be permanently preserved and legally accessible through proper subpoena procedure. As someone who had testified as an expert witness in dozens of digital forensics cases, I knew that Ashley had just created discoverable evidence that could be used in both civil and criminal proceedings. The wedding ring clearly visible in the third photo wasn't just proof of Mike's marital infidelity. It was a time-stamped indicator that these activities were occurring while he was legally bound by the confidentiality agreements and corporate ethics policies that governed his employment at MedTech. Corporate executives who violated data security protocols while engaging in personal relationships faced not just termination, but potential criminal charges under federal computer fraud statute.
Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story.
My laptop and began creating a new encrypted folder labeled Digital Evidence Archive Thompson Investigation. This would be the master file containing all network logs, security footage, device access records, and communication intercepts that documented the full scope of Mike and Ashley's activity. The collection process I was about to begin would follow the same protocols I used for corporate clients facing internal data breaches, ensuring that all evidence would be legally admissible and professionally documented. The first step was to create a comprehensive timeline correlating Ashley's device connections with specific calendar entries, network activities, and security system logs. This would establish not just the frequency and duration of her presence in our home, but also demonstrate the specific business activities that had occurred during those time periods. The second step would be to analyze the corporate data that had been accessed from our network during Ashley's visits, identifying specific files, client databases, and confidential communications that she had potentially been exposed to. This analysis would determine whether their activities constituted a breach of MedTech's data security protocols and whether any federal privacy regulations had been violated. The third step would involve correlating the photo evidence Ashley had just provided with my existing security footage and network logs, creating an irrefutable record of her presence in areas of our home where she could have accessed confidential business material. As I began implementing this evidence collection protocol, I realized that Ashley's decision to send me those photos had transformed a personal betrayal into what could become a federal criminal investigation. She had intended to hurt me emotionally by revealing their physical relationship, but instead had provided the final pieces of evidence needed to demonstrate a potential conspiracy to steal confidential business information. The photos she thought would devastate me were actually the key to unlocking a comprehensive case file that could destroy both her career and mine. while potentially exposing medtech to the kind of data security scandal that could result in millions of dollars in regulatory fines and civil lawsuits. Mike had always dismissed my cybersecurity expertise as technical minutia that had little relevance to the real world of business relationships and sales success. Ashley had clearly inherited this perspective, assuming that sending provocative photos through social media was sophisticated psychological warfare rather than evidence creation that any first-year law student could recognize as discoverable material in legal proceedings. They had been conducting their entire relationship as if digital communications were private conversations, rather than permanent records subject to legal discovery. Every flirtatious text message, every intimate photo, every shared calendar entry had been preserved across multiple platforms and devices, creating a comprehensive archive of their activities that would be accessible to attorneys, investigators, and potentially federal prosecutors. The irony was that both Mike and Ashley worked in industries that depended heavily on digital communication and data management, yet neither of them seemed to understand the basic principles of digital privacy and evidence preservation that governed their professional responsibility. They had been creating what amounted to a real-time confession of corporate data theft while believing they were simply enjoying a discreet romantic relation. As I began the systematic process of correlating Ashley's photos with my existing digital evidence archive, I couldn't help but appreciate the professional challenge she had just presented. Creating a comprehensive case file from multiple data sources was exactly the kind of complex forensics project that had built my reputation in the cybersecurity industry. The difference was that this time, instead of helping a corporate client understand how their data had been compromised, I was documenting how my own marriage had become the cover story for what appeared to be systematic theft of confidential business information. Ashley clearly thought she was ending our conversation with those 5 photos and her dismissive message about Mike being ready for a real life with someone who understood him. What she didn't realize was that she had just initiated a digital forensics investigation that would reveal far more about their relationship than she had ever intended to share. The photos she never expected were about to tell a story that would make her midnight message look like amateur psychology compared to the comprehensive legal documentation I was prepared to create. Mike might be ready for a real life with someone who understood him, but first he was going to have to explain to federal investigators why his understanding had led to potential violations of corporate data security regulation. As I began uploading Ashley's photos to my secure evidence management system, I smiled slightly at the thought of the counter message I would eventually send in response. She had chosen to communicate through photos, assuming that images would be more emotionally devastating than words. I was about to teach her that in the digital age, every photo tells a story, and some stories have consequences that extend far beyond personal relationships into the realm of federal criminal law. The morning after Ashley's midnight photo delivery, I implemented what I called the Strategic Foundation Protocol, a systematic approach to evidence preservation and legal preparation that I had developed during my FBI years for complex cybercrime investigation. The difference was that this time, instead of building a case against unknown criminals who had breached corporate networks, I was documenting activities that had been happening in my own home with my own husband as a willing participant. I began by creating multiple encrypted backup systems for all the digital evidence I had collected over the past 8 months. The network logs, security footage, device access record, and communication intercepts were distributed across 3 separate secure storage systems: my professional forensics server at the office, a secure cloud storage system that specialized in legal evidence preservation, and a physical backup drive stored in a safety deposit box at Austin Community Bank. This redundancy ensured that even if Mike or Ashley somehow discovered and attempted to destroy evidence from one source, the complete record would remain intact and legally accessible. The first priority was establishing an unbreakable chain of custody for all digital evidence. In federal court, the admissibility of electronic evidence depends heavily on proving that the data hasn't been altered or tampered with since its initial collection. I generated cryptographic hash values for every file, created timestamps that could be verified through independent sources, and documented the specific hardware and software configurations used for each piece of evidence collection. This wasn't just professional habit, It was essential preparation for what I knew would eventually become legal proceedings that could determine not just the terms of my divorce, but potentially the criminal liability of both Mike and Ashley for corporate data theft. The evidence I was preserving would need to withstand scrutiny from opposing attorneys, federal prosecutors, and potentially congressional investigators, if MedTech's data breach turned out to be part of a larger pattern of pharmaceutical industry espionage. The technical complexity of the evidence collection was significant, but the emotional complexity was even greater. Each piece of data I analyzed revealed new layers of betrayal that went beyond the simple adultery Ashley had tried to hurt me with. The network logs showed that Mike had been sharing our home's guest Wi-Fi password with Ashley since early March, essentially giving her unrestricted access to the same network infrastructure that housed my professional cybersecurity tools and client data. This was particularly troubling because my consulting firm Cybersecure Solutions maintained active security clearances with several federal agencies and defense contractors. Having an unauthorized individual with potential corporate espionage connections accessing the same network where classified security assessments were conducted could constitute a violation of federal security protocols that went far beyond simple marriage infidelity. The device tracking logs revealed that Ashley's iPhone had been connecting to our network an average of 18 hours per week over the past 6 months. During these extended connection periods, her device had been uploading significant amounts of data to cloud storage services, downloading files from business applications, and maintaining active connections to social media platforms that could be used for corporate intelligence gathering. More concerning was the pattern of her device accessing specific business applications during times when Mike's MedTech laptop was also active on the network. The correlation suggested that Ashley wasn't just conducting a personal affair in our home, she was potentially using those intimate moments to gain access to confidential pharmaceutical industry data that could be valuable to competitors or foreign intelligence services. The sophistication of this potential data theft operation became clear when I analyzed the specific files that had been accessed from Mike's corporate accounts during Ashley's visit. The download logs showed systematic collection of client databases, competitor analysis reports, regulatory submission documents, and strategic planning materials that contained the kind of proprietary information that pharmaceutical companies spent millions of dollars developing and protecting. Ashley's position as a marketing coordinator at MedTech provided her with legitimate access to certain promotional materials and public-facing communications, but the documents being accessed through Mike's accounts included sales forecasting models, clinical trial data, and FDA submission strategies that were classified at the highest levels of corporate security. Someone in Ashley's position would never have authorized access to these materials through normal corporate channels. The timing patterns were particularly damning. Ashley's device showed heavy data download activity during the specific hours when I was attending cybersecurity conferences or conducting off-site client consultations. This suggested that their romantic encounters were being deliberately scheduled to coincide with opportunities for extended access to Mike's business materials, without the risk of discovery by someone with the technical expertise to recognize corporate data theft. Even more troubling was evidence that Ashley had been photographing physical documents during her visits to our home. The network logs showed her device uploading high-resolution images to encrypted cloud storage services during periods when Mike's home office would have contained printed copies of confidential business reports. The image file sizes and upload timestamps correlated with Mike's habit of bringing home quarterly sales projections and competitive analysis documents that he preferred to review on paper rather than through digital screen. As I compiled this evidence into a comprehensive timeline, the scope of the potential security breach became staggering. Over 6 months, Ashley had potentially gained access to pharmaceutical industry intelligence worth millions of dollars in competitive advantage. If she was working with foreign competitors or industrial espionage networks, the damage to MedTech's business interests could be catastrophic. But the evidence also revealed something even more personally devastating than corporate espionage. The communication intercepts from their messaging applications showed that Mike had been actively providing Ashley with advance notice of my travel schedule, my client meetings, and my professional commitment. He wasn't just enabling her access to corporate data, he was specifically timing their activities to avoid detection by someone he knew had the technical capability to discover their scheme. The messages between them revealed a level of planning and premeditation that transformed their affair from emotional betrayal into calculated deception. Mike had been studying my calendar and work patterns, identifying windows of opportunity when Ashley could access our home and his business materials without the risk of discovery by someone with cybersecurity expertise. Their text conversations included discussions of specific security measures they needed to avoid, particular network monitoring tools they needed to be careful around, and strategies for ensuring that their activities wouldn't trigger the kind of automated alerts that my professional security systems generated for suspicious network behavior. This meant that Mike fully understood the potential legal and professional consequences of what they were doing. He wasn't just cheating on his wife, he was deliberately circumventing security protocols established by someone he knew worked with federal agencies and classified defense contractors. The betrayal was both personal and professional, potentially exposing my own business to security vulnerabilities, while enabling what appeared to be systematic corporate data theft. The evidence preservation process took 3 full days of methodical documentation and analysis. Each piece of digital evidence needed to be correlated with physical security footage, cross-referenced with calendar entries and travel records, and verified through independent data sources that could withstand legal challenge. The network monitoring logs alone generated over 400 pages of technical documentation showing specific dates, times, devices, applications, and data transfer volume. The security camera footage provided visual confirmation of Ashley's presence in our home during 37 separate occasions over 6 months, including 12 instances where she was documented in Mike's home office during periods when confidential business documents would have been accessible. The communication intercepts revealed over 2,000 text messages, instant messages, and email exchanges between Mike and Ashley that discussed their relationship, their access to business materials, and their strategies for avoiding detection. Many of these communications contained explicit references to specific client names, competitor strategies, and regulatory challenges that constituted proprietary business intelligence. Most damaging were the cloud storage logs showing that Ashley had created shared folders containing over 300 confidential business documents that had been downloaded from Mike's corporate account. These files included client contact databases worth millions of dollars in sales opportunities, competitive analysis reports that took months to research and compile, and regulatory strategy documents that contained confidential communications with FDA officials. The financial implications of this data theft were staggering. The client databases alone represented potential revenue streams worth tens of millions of dollars. The competitive analysis reports contained intelligence that medtech's rivals would pay enormous sums to obtain. The regulatory documents included confidential strategies for drug approval processes that could give competitors decisive advantages in bringing competing products to market. But beyond the corporate implications, the evidence revealed the emotional cruelty of Mike's deception. The timing of their activities showed that Mike had been planning intimate encounters with Ashley during specific periods when I was traveling for work or attending professional conferences. He had been using my career commitments as opportunities to betray our marriage, while simultaneously exposing my business to potential security breaches. The text messages between them included discussions of our marriage, our financial situation, and our future plans that showed Mike had been sharing intimate details of our private life with someone who was potentially involved in corporate espionage.
Ashley knew about my FBI background, my security clearances, my client relationships, and my professional capabilities because Mike had been providing her with detailed information about my career and personal life. Even more hurtful were messages showing that Mike had been actively discouraging me from working from home or adjusting my travel schedule, specifically to create more opportunities for Ashley's visits. When I had suggested canceling conference appearances or rescheduling client meetings to spend more time together, Mike had insisted that my professional commitments were too important to modify. At the time, I had interpreted this as supportive encouragement of my career. The evidence now showed
that Mike had been manipulating my professional schedule to maximize opportunities for Ashley to access our home and his business materials without detection. The systematic nature of their deception extended to financial manipulation as well. The bank records I accessed through our joint accounts showed that Mike had been using our shared credit cards to pay for hotel rooms, restaurants, and gifts that were obviously connected to his relationship with Ashley. But more concerning were charges for technology equipment and services that didn't correspond to any legitimate business or personal needs. These purchases included encrypted communication devices, secure cloud storage subscriptions, and digital privacy tools that suggested Mike and Ashley were aware that their activities could be subject to surveillance and were taking steps to avoid detection. The financial records showed they had spent thousands of dollars on equipment and services designed specifically to circumvent the kind of security monitoring that my professional systems were designed to detect. This level of operational security awareness demonstrated that their activities went far beyond a simple romantic affair. They were operating with the kind of counterintelligence consciousness that suggested either professional training in corporate espionage or guidance from someone with expertise in evading digital surveillance. The evidence compilation process also revealed technical vulnerabilities in my own security systems that I had never anticipated. Mike's intimate knowledge of my professional capabilities and security protocols had allowed him to identify specific blind spots and limitations that enabled Ashley's access to sensitive areas of our network infrastructure. This personal violation of my professional expertise was perhaps the most devastating aspect of the entire discovery process. Mike had been using his insider knowledge of my work to compromise the very security systems I had designed to protect our home and my business. He had transformed my trust in our marriage into a vulnerability that enabled systematic corporate data theft. The documentation process required not just technical analysis, but also emotional compartmentalization that drew on every skill I had developed during my FBI year. Each piece of evidence revealed new layers of betrayal that needed to be processed and preserved without allowing personal emotions to compromise the professional quality of the investigation. By the end of the third day, I had compiled a comprehensive evidence archive that documented not just marital infidelity, but potential federal crimes, including corporate espionage, data theft, and violation of computer fraud statute. The archive included over 800 individual pieces of evidence, ranging from network monitoring logs, to security camera footage, to financial records to communication intercept. The scope and sophistication of the evidence would be overwhelming to any defense attorney attempting to challenge its admissibility or accuracy. The multiple independent sources, the cryptographic verification systems, and the professional documentation standards would make this evidence package virtually unassailable in either civil or criminal proceeding. But more importantly, the evidence revealed that Ashley's midnight photo message had been just the visible tip of an iceberg that included potential federal crimes, with prison sentences measured in decades rather than years. Mike and Ashley thought they were conducting a discreet romantic affair, but they had actually been creating a comprehensive record of activities that could result in criminal prosecution under multiple federal statutes. The photos Ashley had sent to hurt me were trivial compared to the evidence of corporate data theft that could destroy both their careers and potentially land them in federal prison. She had tried to wound me emotionally by revealing their physical relationship, but instead had provided the final motivation I needed to complete a federal-quality criminal investigation. As I prepared to move into the next phase of evidence preservation and legal consultation, I realized that Mike and Ashley had severely underestimated not just my technical capabilities, but also my professional connections within the cybersecurity and legal enforcement community. The evidence I had compiled would be of significant interest, not just to divorce attorneys, but to federal prosecutors who specialized in corporate espionage and industrial data theft. The strategic foundation I had established over 3 days of methodical documentation would support not just a divorce proceeding, but potentially a federal criminal investigation that could result in decades of prison time for both Mike and Ashley. They had been playing amateur psychology games while I was building a federal case file that could reshape the rest of their lives. The photos she never expected were about to become evidence exhibits in proceedings that would make her midnight Instagram message
look like a child's prank compared to the sophisticated criminal investigation she had unknowingly provoked. The irony of my relationship with Mike Thompson was that we had met at a cybersecurity conference in Dallas 12 years ago, where he was representing MedTech's pharmaceutical division, and I was presenting research on digital forensics techniques for corporate investigation. He had approached me after my presentation on advanced network surveillance for industrial espionage detection, claiming he was fascinated by the intersection of technology and business security. At the time, I found his interest charming and refreshing. Most pharmaceutical sales executives I had encountered during my FBI years were focused exclusively on relationship building and revenue generation, with little understanding of the digital vulnerabilities that could expose their companies to catastrophic data breach. Mike seemed different, genuinely curious about cybersecurity protocols and eager to understand how digital forensics could protect his industry from the kind of intellectual property theft that cost pharmaceutical companies billions of dollars annually. Our early courtship revolved around long conversations about the evolving landscape of corporate espionage, the increasing sophistication of foreign intelligence operations targeting American pharmaceutical research, and the critical importance of robust digital security measures in protecting proprietary drug development data. Mike appeared to absorb every detail I shared about network monitoring, communication interception, and evidence preservation techniques. Looking back with the clarity that comprehensive digital evidence provides, I now realized that Mike's fascination with my expertise had never been romantic or intellectual curiosity. He had been conducting what amounted to a 12-year intelligence gathering operation, learning the specific capabilities and limitations of my professional skills, so that he could eventually circumvent them when the opportunity presented itself. The early years of our marriage had been built on what I believed was mutual respect for each other's professional expertise. Mike would consult me on cybersecurity issues affecting MedTech's operations, and I would provide guidance on protecting sensitive pharmaceutical data from industrial espionage. I had even conducted several paid consulting engagements for MedTech, helping them upgrade their network security protocols and train their executives on digital privacy best practices. During those consulting projects, I had gained extensive knowledge of MedTech's internal systems, data classification protocols, and security vulnerability. I had also provided Mike with detailed explanations of how corporate data theft typically operated, what kinds of information were most valuable to competitors, and what detection methods companies used to identify unauthorized access to confidential material. Mike had always been an attentive student during these discussions, asking thoughtful questions about specific techniques, and showing apparent concern for protecting his company's intellectual property. The digital evidence now revealed that he had been carefully documenting my explanations, creating what amounted to a comprehensive manual for evading the exact security measures I had helped MedTech implement. The text messages between Mike and Ashley included detailed references to security protocols I had explained to Mike years earlier. They discussed specific monitoring tools by name, referenced particular detection thresholds that would trigger security alerts, and planned their activities around the exact vulnerabilities I had identified during my consulting work with MedTech. This meant that Mike had been using my own professional expertise as a weapon against me, turning my cybersecurity knowledge into a roadmap for corporate data theft that specifically targeted systems I had helped design. The betrayal was both personal and professional, representing a level of calculated deception that went far beyond typical marital infidelity. The communication intercepts revealed that Mike had been sharing details of my FBI background with Ashley, including information about my security clearances, my client relationships with defense contractors, and my access to classified government cybersecurity protocols. Ashley's messages showed that she was specifically interested in understanding my professional capabilities and potential access to information that could be valuable beyond MedTech's pharmaceutical data. This suggested that their relationship might be connected to a broader industrial espionage operation targeting not just MedTech but potentially the defense contractors and government agencies I worked with through my consulting firm. Ashley's questions about my client list and security clearances indicated a level of operational interest that went beyond curiosity about her lover's wife. The most disturbing revelation was that Mike had been providing Ashley with copies of my professional reports and security assessments, including documents that contained confidential information about government cybersecurity protocols and defense contractor vulnerability. These documents were classified at levels that required specific security clearances to access, and sharing them with unauthorized individuals constituted serious federal crimes. The evidence showed that Ashley had been photographing these classified documents during her visits to our home, creating what amounted to a comprehensive intelligence archive that included not just medtech's pharmaceutical data, but also sensitive information about government cybersecurity operations and defense contractors' security measures. This escalation transformed their activities from corporate data theft into potential national security violations that could result in espionage charges carrying life sentences. Mike had been so focused on impressing his young girlfriend that he had potentially compromised classified government operations and exposed critical defense information to unauthorized access. The financial records revealed another layer of deception that demonstrated the systematic nature of their operation. Mike had been using our joint credit cards to purchase sophisticated surveillance equipment, encrypted communication devices, and digital storage systems that were specifically designed for intelligence gathering operations. These purchases included high-resolution document cameras, portable scanning equipment, secure satellite communication devices, and military-grade encryption software that suggested their activities were being conducted with professional operational security standards. The equipment purchases totaled over $50,000 over 6 months, representing a significant financial investment in what appeared to be a systematic intelligence-gathering operation. Even more concerning were charges for travel and accommodations that correlated with my business trips to government facilities and defense contractor locations. The evidence suggested that Mike had been tracking my travel schedule and potentially coordinating with Ashley to gather intelligence about my professional activities during periods when I was working on classified projects. The credit card records showed payments for hotel rooms in the same cities where I was conducting classified consulting work, rental cars that had been used to travel near secure government facilities, and technology equipment that could be used for surveillance of sensitive locations. This pattern suggested that their activities extended beyond passive data theft into active intelligence gathering operations targeting classified government projects. The scope of the potential security breach was staggering. Over 12 years of marriage, Mike had gained access to information about cybersecurity protocols used by the FBI, the Department of Defense, the National Security Agency, and multiple defense contractors working on classified projects. If he had been sharing this information with Ashley and if she was connected to foreign intelligence operations, the damage to national security could be catastrophic. The communication intercepts revealed that Ashley had been specifically requesting information about my government clients, my security clearances, and my access to classified facilities. Her messages showed detailed knowledge of government contracting procedures, federal security protocols, and classified project management systems that suggested either professional intelligence training or guidance from someone with extensive experience in government espionage operations. Most damaging were messages showing that Ashley had been asking Mike to arrange opportunities for her to access my home office during periods when classified documents might be present. Mike had been providing her with detailed information about my work schedule, my document storage procedures, and the security measures I used to protect classified materials in our home. This level of operational planning demonstrated that their activities were being conducted with the sophistication and coordination typical of professional intelligence operations. They weren't just stealing pharmaceutical data for personal gain, they were potentially engaged in systematic espionage targeting classified government cybersecurity operations. The evidence also revealed that Ashley had connections to individuals and organizations that raised significant counterintelligence concerns. Her social media accounts and communication records showed relationships with foreign nationals working in technology industry, attendance at conferences sponsored by organizations with known connections to foreign intelligence services, and financial relationships with companies that had been investigated for potential espionage activity. These connections suggested that Ashley might be operating as part of a larger intelligence network targeting American cybersecurity capabilities and defense contractor operations. Her relationship with Mike could have been initiated specifically to gain access to classified information through my professional activities and security clearance. The timeline of their relationship correlated with several significant cybersecurity incidents affecting government agencies and defense contractors that I had been called in to investigate. The communication intercepts showed that Ashley had been asking detailed questions about these incidents, requesting information about investigative procedures and security vulnerabilities that had been identified during my consulting work. This correlation raised the possibility that Ashley's intelligence gathering had been used to plan or coordinate cyber attacks against government systems. Using information obtained through her relationship with Mike to target specific vulnerabilities in classified networks and defense contractor operations. The financial analysis revealed that Ashley had been receiving significant payments from sources that couldn't be traced through normal banking records. Her lifestyle and spending patterns indicated access to funds far beyond what her salary as a marketing coordinator would support, suggesting that she was being compensated for intelligence gathering activities by organizations with substantial financial resources. The payments corresponded with periods when she had gained access to particularly sensitive information through her relationship with Mike, including classified documents about government cybersecurity operations and defense contractors' security protocol. This correlation suggested that she was being paid specifically for intelligence about my professional activities and the classified projects I was working. The sophistication of the financial arrangements indicated that Ashley was working with organizations that had extensive experience in intelligence operations and money laundering. The payment systems used methods typically employed by foreign intelligence services to compensate assets operating in sensitive positions within American government and defense contractor organizations. But perhaps the most devastating revelation was that Mike had been actively working to expand my consulting relationships with government agencies and defense contractors, specifically to provide Ashley with access to more valuable intelligence. The evidence showed that he had been encouraging me to pursue contracts with particular agencies, suggesting specific clients that would be valuable for my career development. These suggestions had led to consulting relationships with several highly classified government cybersecurity programs that provided access to some of the most sensitive information about American defensive capabilities against foreign cyber operations. Mike's career guidance had been designed not to advance my professional success, but to expand the intelligence value of our marriage to foreign espionage operations. The communication intercepts revealed that Mike had been providing Ashley with advance notice of classified consulting opportunities, allowing her organization to target specific government projects and defense contractor operations for intelligence gathering. This coordination had potentially compromised multiple classified operations and exposed critical national security information to foreign intelligence services. The evidence painted a picture of a systematic intelligence operation that had been developing over 12 years, using our marriage as cover for one of the most sophisticated and damaging espionage operations in recent American history. Mike and Ashley hadn't just been conducting an affair, they had been operating a comprehensive intelligence gathering network that had potentially compromised classified government cybersecurity operations and defense contractor projects worth billions of dollars. The personal betrayal of their romantic relationship was insignificant compared to the national security implications of their intelligence activity. They had been using my expertise, my security clearances, and my professional relationships to conduct espionage operations that could have caused catastrophic damage to American cybersecurity capabilities and defense operations. As I completed the analysis of their 12-year intelligence operation, I realized that Ashley's midnight photo message had been more than just an attempt to hurt me emotionally. It had been a signal that their intelligence gathering phase was complete and they were ready to move into an operational phase that would require ending their cover relationship and potentially disappearing into foreign intelligence protection program. The photos she had sent weren't just evidence of their affair, they were a declaration that their espionage operation had achieved its objectives, and they were prepared to extract themselves from American jurisdiction before their activities could be discovered and prosecuted. But what Ashley and Mike hadn't anticipated was that their intelligence-gathering operation had been conducted under the surveillance of someone with the expertise and resources to document their activities with the same sophisticated techniques they had been using to steal classified information. The evidence I had compiled would be of extraordinary interest to federal counterintelligence agencies, national security prosecutors, and congressional intelligence committees responsible for investigating foreign espionage operations against American government and defense targets. Mike thought he had been using my expertise to enable corporate data theft and romantic betrayal. Instead, he had been creating a comprehensive record of what appeared to be one of the most significant espionage operations in recent American history, with evidence quality that would support prosecutions under federal espionage statutes carrying potential death sentences. The photos Ashley never expected would soon become evidence exhibits in national security proceedings that would make their romantic selfies look like footnotes in a case study of systematic treason against American cybersecurity operations and defense capability. The execution phase of my response strategy began at precisely 6:00 a.m. on a Thursday morning in late September, timed to coincide with Ashley's regular arrival at our house for what Mike believed would be another routine intelligence gathering session. The difference was that this time, instead of my usual departure for a client consultation in Houston, I remained in my home office monitoring every digital device and communication channel, while a coordinated team of federal agents prepared to document what would become the final evidence collection session of their espionage operation. Special Agent Maria Santos of the FBI's Counterintelligence Division had been remarkably receptive when I contacted her 3 days earlier with preliminary evidence of what appeared to be a sophisticated foreign intelligence operation targeting classified government cybersecurity programs. My reputation within the federal law enforcement community, combined with the extraordinary quality and scope of the digital evidence I had compiled, had prompted an immediate investigation that escalated to the highest levels of national security priority within 48 hours. The coordination required to properly document Mike and Ashley's activities while they believed they were conducting routine intelligence gathering had been complex but manageable. My home's existing security systems provided comprehensive coverage of all areas where classified documents might be accessed, while additional surveillance equipment installed by FBI technical specialists ensured that every conversation and communication would be recorded with courtroom-quality audio and video evidence. The timing had been carefully calculated to maximize the intelligence value of their final session while ensuring that their espionage operation could be completely documented before they realized they were under federal surveillance. My supposed trip to Houston had been communicated to Mike 2 weeks earlier, providing Ashley's intelligence handlers with sufficient advance notice to plan what they likely anticipated would be a comprehensive collection session targeting classified materials from several high-priority government cybersecurity projects. The sophistication of their operational security became apparent as I monitored their arrival and initial activities from my concealed position in the home office. Ashley entered the house using her own key, which Mike had apparently provided months earlier, and immediately began implementing counterintelligence protocols designed to detect electronic surveillance and identify potential security threats. Her first actions included deploying RF detection equipment to scan 4 hidden recording devices, using signal jamming technology to disrupt potential wireless surveillance systems, and conducting a systematic visual inspection of areas where classified documents were typically stored. The professional quality of her counterintelligence procedures confirmed that she had received extensive training in intelligence operations and was operating with the support of organizations with significant resources and expertise. Mike's role in facilitating her access to classified materials was even more systematic than the digital evidence had suggested. He had prepared a comprehensive briefing package containing copies of my latest consulting reports, detailed descriptions of current government cybersecurity projects, and specific intelligence requirements that Ashley's handlers had apparently requested for upcoming intelligence gathering priorities. The conversation between them revealed the true scope of their espionage operation with stunning clarity. Ashley wasn't just collecting pharmaceutical industry data or general cybersecurity information, she was fulfilling specific intelligence requirements related to classified government defensive capabilities against foreign cyber operations, defense contractor vulnerabilities that could be exploited in military conflicts, and strategic cybersecurity plans that represented the highest levels of American national security planning. Their discussion included detailed references to foreign intelligence services that had been requesting particular types of information, specific government officials who were targets for future intelligence operations, and classified cybersecurity programs that foreign adversaries were attempting to compromise through systematic espionage activities. Most damaging were their conversations about my personal security clearances and access to classified facilities, which revealed that foreign intelligence services had been using our marriage as a long-term penetration strategy, targeting some of the most sensitive cybersecurity operations in the American government and defense establishment. Ashley's intelligence briefing included request for information about classified research projects at the National Security Agency, specific vulnerabilities and defense contractor cybersecurity, and detailed intelligence about government responses to recent cyber attacks that had been attributed to foreign state actors. The foreign intelligence requirements were so specific and sophisticated that they could only have been developed by organizations with extensive knowledge of American government cybersecurity operations and strategic planning processes. Ashley was clearly operating as part of a comprehensive intelligence network that had been targeting American cybersecurity capabilities for years, using assets positioned throughout the government and defense contractor community. Mike's responses to these intelligence requirements demonstrated that he had been systematically collecting classified information for far longer than the 8 months I had been monitoring their activity. His detailed knowledge of government cybersecurity protocols, specific defense contractor projects, and classified research programs indicated that he had been conducting intelligence gathering operations throughout our entire 12-year marriage. The recording equipment captured conversations revealing that Mike had been photographing classified documents, copying sensitive computer files, and providing foreign intelligence services with detailed information about my professional activities and security clearances since the early years of our relationship. This meant that virtually every classified project I had worked on during my marriage had been compromised through Mike's intelligence gathering activity. The damage to national security was potentially catastrophic, involving the compromise of cybersecurity operations that protected critical infrastructure, defense systems, and government communications networks. The evidence collection session continued for nearly 4 hours, during which Ashley and Mike systematically photographed and copied classified materials related to over 20 different government cybersecurity projects. The FBI surveillance team documented every document transfer, recorded every conversation about intelligence requirements, and captured comprehensive video evidence of activities that constituted clear violations of federal espionage statute. The technical sophistication of their document copying procedures revealed that they had access to professional intelligence gathering equipment and training that could only have been provided by foreign intelligence services with substantial operational capability.
They were using military-grade document cameras, secure satellite communication systems, and encryption technology that suggested direct support from foreign government intelligence organizations. But the most stunning revelation came when Ashley received a secure communication from her intelligence handlers instructing her to accelerate the intelligence gathering timeline, because American counterintelligence agencies were apparently becoming suspicious of foreign espionage activities targeting cybersecurity operations. This communication confirmed that foreign intelligence services were aware of American counterintelligence investigations and were attempting to extract their assets before their espionage operations could be discovered and prosecuted. Ashley and Mike were being instructed to complete their intelligence gathering mission and prepare for potential extraction to foreign countries where they would be protected from American prosecution. The instruction to accelerate their timeline explained Ashley's decision to send me the provocative photos. It hadn't been an attempt to hurt me emotionally.
but rather a signal to Mike that their intelligence operation was moving into the extraction phase, and they needed to end their cover relationship immediately. Their conversation revealed plans to disappear within 2 weeks, using false identities and transportation systems that had been prepared by foreign intelligence services to facilitate the escape of compromised assets. They were planning to extract classified materials worth potentially billions of dollars in intelligence value, while avoiding detection by American counterintelligence agents. The federal surveillance team allowed the session to continue until Ashley and Mike had completed their intelligence-gathering activities and begun preparing for departure. At that point, Special Agent Santos activated a coordinated arrest operation that had been positioned around our house for the entire 4-hour collection session. The arrest was conducted with the precision and overwhelming force appropriate for apprehending foreign intelligence operatives who possessed classified information that could damage national security if it reached foreign adversaries. Over 20 federal agents participated in the operation, ensuring that Ashley and Mike could not destroy evidence or communicate with their intelligence handlers before being secured. Ashley's reaction to the arrest revealed the extent of her professional intelligence training. Instead of expressing surprise or confusion, she immediately began implementing protocols designed to protect her intelligence network and limit the damage from her capture. Her first words were demands to contact foreign embassy officials, followed by assertions of diplomatic immunity and attempts to invoke international legal protections, typically used by intelligence operatives caught in foreign countries. Mike's response was less professional but equally revealing. His immediate panic and desperate attempts to contact attorneys demonstrated that he understood the potential consequences of federal espionage charges, but had never seriously considered the possibility of discovery and prosecution. The evidence seized during the arrest included over 300 classified documents that Ashley and Mike had copied during their intelligence-gathering operations, secure communication equipment linking them to foreign intelligence service, and financial records showing payments from organizations with known connections to foreign government intelligence agencies. The classified materials alone represented one of the largest intelligence compromises in recent American history, involving cybersecurity information that protected critical infrastructure, defense systems, and government operations from foreign attack. The damage assessment conducted by national security agencies would take months to complete and could potentially require fundamental changes to American cybersecurity strategies and defensive capabilities. But the most personally satisfying aspect of the arrest was Ashley's reaction when federal agents presented her with copies of the digital evidence I had compiled documenting their espionage activities over 8 months. The comprehensive nature of the surveillance evidence clearly demonstrated that their intelligence operation had been conducted under the observation of someone with professional expertise in exactly the kind of counterintelligence techniques they had been attempting to evade. Her shock at realizing that every conversation, every document transfer, and every communication with foreign intelligence handlers had been recorded and analyzed by someone she had dismissed as merely Mike's tech support wife was a moment of professional satisfaction that validated years of patient evidence collection and strategic planning. The federal investigation that followed their arrest revealed the true scope of the foreign intelligence operation they had been supporting. Ashley was identified as a deep cover operative who had been placed in American technology companies specifically to target government contractors and officials with access to classified cybersecurity information. Mike was determined to be what intelligence agencies classify as an unwitting asset, someone who had been manipulated into providing classified information without fully understanding that he was supporting foreign espionage operations. However, the evidence clearly showed that he had been aware of the classified nature of the information he was providing and had been compensated for his intelligence-gathering activity. The foreign intelligence network that Ashley had been supporting was identified as one of the most sophisticated and damaging espionage operations targeting American cybersecurity capabilities in recent decades. The information they had collected could have been used to plan cyber attacks against critical infrastructure, compromise defense systems, and neutralize cybersecurity measures protecting government communications networks. The prosecution of their case became a matter of the highest national security priority, with charges filed under federal espionage statutes that carried potential sentences including life imprisonment and, for the most serious charges, capital punishment. Ashley was ultimately convicted on multiple counts of espionage, conspiracy, and theft of classified information, receiving a sentence of life imprisonment without possibility of parole. Her conviction was based largely on the comprehensive digital evidence I had compiled, which provided irrefutable documentation of her intelligence-gathering activities and foreign intelligence connection. Mike was convicted on charges of conspiracy to commit espionage and theft of classified information, receiving a sentence of 35 years in federal prison. His cooperation with prosecutors in identifying other potential intelligence assets resulted in a reduced sentence, but the scope of his intelligence-gathering activities and the damage to national security ensured that he would spend the rest of his productive life in federal custody. The damage assessment conducted by national security agencies determined that their espionage operation had compromised cybersecurity information worth potentially hundreds of billions of dollars in defensive value, requiring fundamental changes to American cybersecurity strategies and emergency upgrades to critical infrastructure protection systems. But the investigation also revealed that the sophisticated surveillance techniques I had used to document their activities had prevented even greater damage by enabling the identification and disruption of their intelligence network before they could complete their mission and escape to foreign protection. My role in detecting and documenting the espionage operation resulted in recognition from the highest levels of American government, including a classified award ceremony attended by officials from the FBI, the National Security Agency, and Congressional Intelligence Committee. The professional recognition was gratifying, but the personal satisfaction came from realizing that Ashley's attempt to hurt me with romantic photos had instead provided the final motivation needed to complete a counterintelligence investigation that protected American national security from one of the most damaging espionage operations in recent history. The photos she never expected had become evidence exhibits in one of the most significant espionage prosecutions in American legal history, transforming her intended emotional attack into a contribution to national security that would protect American cybersecurity operations for generations to come. 6 months after their conviction, I received a final message from Ashley through the federal prison system's monitored communication channel. She wanted me to know that she had never intended for their intelligence operation to escalate to the level of national security prosecution, and that she had genuinely believed Mike when he claimed that I was unaware of the classified nature of the information he was providing. Her message revealed that foreign intelligence services had specifically targeted our marriage because they believed Mike's relationship with a cybersecurity professional would provide valuable intelligence without the risk of discovery by someone with counterintelligence expertise. What they hadn't anticipated was that Mike's betrayal would be discovered by someone with exactly the professional capabilities needed to document and prosecute their espionage operation, with the sophistication and comprehensiveness that had made their convictions inevitable. Ashley's final words were an acknowledgement that she had severely underestimated both my professional expertise and my personal determination to protect the national security interests that had defined my career. The photos she had sent to devastate me personally had instead enabled me to devastate the foreign intelligence operation that had been using our marriage to steal classified information worth potentially hundreds of billions of dollars in national security value. Mike thought he had been conducting a romantic affair that would provide some additional income through corporate data theft. Instead, he had been supporting a foreign intelligence operation that resulted in life imprisonment for espionage against the United States of America. Ashley thought she was ending a marriage with provocative photos that would hurt a naive suburban wife. Instead, she was providing final evidence for a counterintelligence investigation that would make her one of the most significant espionage convictions in recent American legal history. The photos she never expected were surveillance images showing federal agents arresting foreign intelligence operatives who had been conducting espionage operations under the observation of exactly the kind of cybersecurity professional they had spent 12 years trying to deceive. 3 years have passed since that September morning when federal agents arrested Ashley Chen and Mike Thompson in my Austin home, and the ripple effects of their espionage operation continue to reshape both my personal life and the broader landscape of American cybersecurity operations. The house on Scenic Drive in Westlake Hills has been transformed from a crime scene back into a sanctuary, though every room now carries memories of the systematic betrayal that unfolded within its walls during what I had believed were the happiest years of my marriage. The most profound change has been my evolution from a successful cybersecurity consultant who worked primarily with corporate clients to someone who occupies a unique position within the American national security establishment. The comprehensive evidence I compiled documenting Ashley and Mike's espionage activities has become a case study taught at FBI training facilities, CIA counterintelligence schools, and NSA cybersecurity programs across the country. My role in detecting and documenting what intelligence agencies now classify as Operation Digital Deception led to invitations to brief congressional intelligence committees, consult with the Department of Homeland Security on insider threat detection, and participate in classified working groups, developing new counterintelligence protocols for protecting government cybersecurity operations from foreign penetration. The professional recognition has been extraordinary, but it came at the cost of learning that my marriage had been essentially a 12-year foreign intelligence operation designed to exploit my security clearances and professional relationships for espionage purposes. The emotional process required to separate my genuine feelings for Mike from the systematic manipulation I had experienced took extensive therapy and the support of colleagues who understood the unique psychological challenges faced by intelligence professionals who discover they have been targeted for exploitation. The damage assessment conducted by national security agencies revealed that Ashley and Mike's operation had compromised cybersecurity information, protecting critical infrastructure systems worth over $200 billion in replacement and upgrade costs. The classified materials they had stolen included defensive protocols for electrical grids, water treatment facilities, financial networks, and communication systems that foreign adversaries could have used to plan catastrophic cyber attacks against American civilian targets. The scope of the compromise required emergency cybersecurity upgrades across multiple government agencies and private sector organizations, representing one of the largest infrastructure security initiatives in American history. The costs associated with replacing compromised systems, developing new defensive protocols, and implementing enhanced counterintelligence measures exceeded $5 billion in the first year alone. But the investigation also revealed that my detection of their espionage activities had prevented even greater damage. Intelligence analysis determined that Ashley and Mike were within weeks of completing their intelligence gathering mission and extracting to foreign countries where they would have been protected from American prosecution, while foreign intelligence services used the stolen information to plan systematic attacks against American cybersecurity infrastructure. The foreign intelligence network that Ashley had been supporting was identified as a sophisticated operation that had been developing for over 15 years, using deep cover operatives positioned throughout American technology companies, defense contractors, and government agencies to conduct comprehensive espionage targeting cybersecurity. The disruption of this network through Ashley and Mike's arrest led to the identification and prosecution of 17 additional foreign intelligence operatives who had been conducting similar espionage activities across the country. The comprehensive counterintelligence investigation that followed their conviction resulted in the largest foreign espionage prosecution in American legal history, with sentences totaling over 400 years of federal imprisonment. Ashley's conviction on multiple espionage charges resulted in life imprisonment without possibility of parole, but the investigation revealed that she had been operating under at least 3 different identities and had been conducting intelligence operations in the United States for over a decade before targeting my marriage. Her real name was revealed to be Lai Wei, and she was identified as a professional intelligence operative trained by foreign military intelligence services, specifically for long-term penetration missions, targeting American technology and defense capability. The Ashley Shin identity had been constructed with extraordinary sophistication including educational records, employment history, and social connections, that had been carefully developed over years to provide credible cover for her intelligence activity. Mike's cooperation with federal prosecutors resulted in a reduced sentence of 35 years, but the investigation revealed that he had been providing classified information to foreign intelligence services throughout our entire marriage. His initial contact with Ashley had been orchestrated by her intelligence handlers, who had identified him as a valuable potential asset due to his relationship with someone possessing high-level security clearances and access to classified cybersecurity. The financial investigation revealed that Mike had received over $800,000 in payments from foreign intelligence services over 12 years, money that had been carefully laundered through legitimate business transactions and investment returns to avoid detection by banking monitoring systems. The personal betrayal was devastating, but the professional validation was extraordinary. The techniques I had used to detect and document their espionage activities became the foundation for new counterintelligence protocols that are now standard procedure for protecting government cybersecurity operations from insider threats and foreign penetration. My consulting firm, Cybersecure Solutions, expanded significantly following the recognition I received for detecting Operation Digital Deception. The client base now includes every major government cybersecurity agency, defense contractors working on the most sensitive classified projects, and international allies seeking to enhance their own counterintelligence capability. The work has become more complex and demanding, but also more meaningful. Instead of simply helping corporate clients protect their data from hackers and competitors, I am now involved in protecting American national security infrastructure from systematic attack by foreign adversaries seeking to undermine our defensive capabilities and critical systems. The house in Westlake Hills has been completely renovated and upgraded with state-of-the-art security systems that represent the cutting edge of residential cybersecurity. The home office, where I first discovered Ashley's midnight photo message, has been expanded into a secure facility that meets federal standards for handling classified materials and conducting sensitive cybersecurity operations. The bedroom where Ashley had photographed herself with Mike has been completely redesigned, transformed from a space that represented 12 years of systematic deception into a personal sanctuary that reflects my independence and professional success. The family photos she had positioned in her selfies have been replaced with recognition awards from government agencies and photographs from cybersecurity at Omari present research on counterintelligence techniques. The kitchen where Mike had entertained Ashley while I traveled for work has become a space for hosting colleagues and friends who understand the unique challenges of cybersecurity work and the personal costs that can accompany professional success in protecting national security interests. The living room where they had planned their intelligence gathering activities now serves as a comfortable space for relaxation and reflection, decorated with artwork that represents my personal interests rather than the compromise aesthetic that had characterized my marriage to Mike. But perhaps the most significant change has been the development of personal relationships with colleagues who understand both the technical challenges of cybersecurity work and the emotional complexities of discovering that intimate relationships can be exploited for espionage purposes. Rachel Williams, who had served as my legal counsel during the initial phases of discovering Mike's betrayal, has become a close friend and professional collaborator. Her expertise in cybersecurity law and her understanding of the personal challenges faced by intelligence professionals has been invaluable in navigating the complex legal and emotional landscape that followed Ashley and Mike's arrest. David Park, the attorney who had represented me during the initial divorce proceedings, before they escalated into federal espionage charges, continues to handle legal matters related to the ongoing investigation and civil litigation arising from the damage caused by their intelligence operation. Maria Santos, the FBI special agent, who had coordinated the investigation of Ashley and Mike's espionage activities, has become both a professional colleague and personal friend. Our shared experience in counterintelligence operations and our mutual understanding of the unique challenges faced by women in cybersecurity and law enforcement has created a friendship that extends beyond professional collaboration. Kevin Ross, my business partner at Cybersecure Solutions, has proven to be not just a skilled cybersecurity professional but also someone who understands the personal costs that can accompany success in protecting sensitive information and detecting sophisticated threats. The professional relationships I have developed within the national security community have provided both career advancement opportunities and personal connections with people who understand the unique challenges of cybersecurity work and the importance of maintaining both technical expertise and emotional resilience in protecting American interests from foreign threats. The dating landscape has been complicated by my professional prominence within the cybersecurity community and public awareness of how my marriage was exploited for espionage purposes. The men I meet through profession conferences and social activities often approach relationships with someone who detected and documented one of the most significant espionage operations in recent American history with a mixture of fascination and intimidation that can complicate personal connections. However, I have found that the experience of surviving systematic betrayal and emerging professionally stronger has provided clarity about the kind of personal relationships that are worth pursuing and the importance of maintaining independence and professional identity, regardless of romantic circumstances. The financial settlement from civil litigation related to the espionage operation has provided security and independence that allows me to focus on professional work that is meaningful rather than simply lucrative. The damages awarded for the personal and professional costs of being targeted for foreign intelligence exploitation were substantial, though no amount of money can truly compensate for 12 years of systematic deception and the violation of trust that characterized my marriage to my. More importantly, the professional recognition and security clearance enhancements that resulted from my role in detecting Operation Digital Deception have opened career opportunities that would have been impossible to achieve through conventional cybersecurity consulting work. The consulting contracts now include projects that directly contribute to protecting American national security infrastructure from the most sophisticated foreign threat. Work that provides both financial security and the satisfaction of knowing that my professional expertise is being used to protect critical systems and operations that millions of Americans depend on for their safety and security. The speaking engagements at cybersecurity conference, government training facilities, and academic institutions have created opportunities to share lessons learned from detecting and documenting sophisticated espionage operations while building professional relationships with colleagues who are working on similar challenges in protecting sensitive information from foreign exploitation. The research and writing opportunities that have emerged from my experience have allowed me to contribute to the development of new counterintelligence protocols and cybersecurity techniques that will help other professionals detect and prevent similar espionage operations in the future. But perhaps the most personally satisfying aspect of the professional recognition has been the opportunity to mentor young cybersecurity professionals, particularly women entering the field, who face unique challenges in establishing credibility and advancing their careers in a technically demanding and male-dominated industry. The mentoring relationships I have developed with graduate students, junior professionals, and career changers entering cybersecurity have provided opportunities to share both technical expertise and personal insights about maintaining professional identity and personal resilience in work that often involves detecting and responding to sophisticated threats and systematic deception. The teaching opportunities at cybersecurity programs and government training facilities have allowed me to contribute to the education of the next generation of professionals who will be responsible for protecting American cybersecurity infrastructure from increasingly sophisticated foreign threats and domestic insider risks. The writing and research projects have provided platforms for sharing lessons learned about detecting insider threats, documenting sophisticated espionage operations, and maintaining both technical expertise and emotional resilience in work that often involves personal and professional risks. The recognition within the cybersecurity community has been gratifying, but the most meaningful validation has come from colleagues who understand both the technical challenges of detecting sophisticated espionage operations and the personal costs that can accompany success in protecting sensitive information from foreign exploitation. Ashley's midnight photo message, which she had intended as a devastating revelation that would destroy my marriage and personal stability, had instead provided the final motivation needed to complete a counterintelligence investigation that protected American national security infrastructure from one of the most damaging espionage operations in recent history. Her attempt to hurt me emotionally, with evidence of her romantic relationship with Mike, had backfired spectacularly, leading to federal espionage charges that resulted in life imprisonment and the disruption of a foreign intelligence network that had been targeting American cybersecurity capabilities for over 15 years. The photos she never expected were the surveillance images that documented her arrest by federal agents who had been monitoring her intelligence-gathering activities under the coordination of exactly the kind of cybersecurity professional she had spent months dismissing as merely Mike's tech support wife. Mike's belief that he could exploit my professional expertise and security clearances for personal and financial gain while maintaining a facade of marital respect and partnership had resulted in federal espionage charges that would keep him in prison for the rest of his productive life. Systematic betrayal of both our marriage and American national security interests had transformed him from a successful pharmaceutical sales executive into a convicted foreign intelligence asset whose cooperation with prosecutors had only slightly reduced a sentence that would extend well into his 70s. The foreign intelligence operation that had targeted our marriage as a vehicle for penetrating American cybersecurity capabilities had been completely disrupted, with 17 operatives convicted and sentenced to a combined total of over 400 years in federal prison. The damage assessment and infrastructure upgrades required to address the compromised cybersecurity information had cost billions of dollars, but had also resulted in enhanced defensive capabilities that would protect American critical infrastructure from foreign attack for decades to come. The personal cost of discovering that my marriage had been essentially a 12-year foreign intelligence operation had been devastating, but the professional recognition and career advancement that resulted from detecting and documenting the espionage activities had created opportunities for meaningful work that directly contributes to protecting American national security interests. The house in Westlake Hills, where Ashley had photographed herself with Mike in our bedroom, has been transformed from a crime scene into a secure facility where I conduct cybersecurity consulting for the most sensitive government operations and defense contractor projects. The home office, where I first received Ashley's midnight message, has become the headquarters for cybersecurity operations that protect critical infrastructure, government communications, and defense systems from the most sophisticated foreign threats.
The bedroom where she had attempted to devastate me with evidence of her relationship with Mike has been redesigned as a personal sanctuary that represents independence, professional success, and the resilience required to survive systematic betrayal while emerging stronger and more capable. The photos she had sent to hurt me personally had become evidence exhibits in federal espionage prosecutions that protected American national security from one of the most significant foreign intelligence operations in recent history. Ashley had thought she was ending a marriage with provocative images that would emotionally destroy a naive suburban wife. Instead, she had provided final evidence for a counterintelligence investigation that made her one of the most significant espionage convictions in American legal history. Mike had believed he could use my cybersecurity expertise to facilitate corporate data theft and romantic betrayal while maintaining the appearance of a successful marriage. Instead, he had created a comprehensive record of espionage activities that resulted in federal convictions and prison sentences that would define the rest of his life. The photos she never expected were not just surveillance images of federal arrest, but also the recognition photographs from cybersecurity conferences, government ceremonies, and professional achievements that documented my emergence from systematic betrayal as one of the most respected counterintelligence professionals in American cybersecurity. 3 years later, Ashley remains in federal prison serving a life sentence for espionage activities that she had believed would advance her intelligence career and provide financial security through foreign government compensation. Instead, her attempt to exploit my marriage for intelligence-gathering purposes had resulted in the complete destruction of the foreign intelligence network she had spent years developing and the protection of American cybersecurity infrastructure from potentially catastrophic foreign attack. Mike continues to serve a 35-year federal sentence for his role in supporting foreign espionage operations, confined to a maximum security facility where he has ample time to contemplate how his attempt to exploit our marriage for personal gain had resulted in the complete destruction of his career, freedom, and future prospects. The foreign intelligence services that had invested years in developing Operation Digital Deception lost not only their operational assets but also the comprehensive cybersecurity intelligence they had been systematically collecting through their penetration of American technology and defense capability. I have emerged from the systematic betrayal of my marriage as one of the most respected professionals in American cybersecurity, with career opportunities and professional recognition that would have been impossible to achieve through conventional consulting work, no matter how technically sophisticated or financially successful. The photos Ashley never expected continue to serve as evidence in ongoing counterintelligence investigations, training materials for government cybersecurity programs, and case studies for academic research on detecting and preventing foreign espionage operations targeting American critical infrastructure. But perhaps, most importantly, they serve as reminders that underestimating someone's professional capabilities and personal resilience can result in consequences far beyond anything that simple romantic betrayal or corporate data theft could ever achieve. Ashley had attempted to hurt me with evidence of her relationship with my husband. Instead, she had provided the final piece of evidence needed to protect American national security from one of the most sophisticated and dangerous foreign intelligence operations in recent history. The photos she never expected were the images that documented not just her arrest and conviction, but also my transformation from a betrayed wife into one of the most effective counterintelligence professionals in American cybersecurity. 5 years have now passed since that autumn morning when I received Ashley's midnight message, and the reverberations of what began as a simple photograph sent in malice continue to shape not only my own destiny but the entire landscape of American counterintelligence operations. The woman who sits in her home office on Scenic Drive today bears little resemblance to the cybersecurity consultant who once believed her greatest professional challenge was protecting corporate data from routine hackers and competitive espionage. The transformation has been profound and irreversible. Where I once managed a small consulting firm specializing in corporate cybersecurity, I now oversee the Strategic Counterintelligence Division of the newly created National Cybersecurity Defense Institute, a position that requires Senate confirmation and carries responsibility for protecting the most sensitive digital infrastructure in American government and defense operations. The appointment came 18 months ago, following a comprehensive background investigation that ultimately concluded I was uniquely qualified for the role precisely because I had survived and documented one of the most sophisticated foreign intelligence penetrations in modern American history. The irony was not lost on me that my qualification for protecting national security from insider threats stemmed directly from having been the target of exactly such an operation. The National Cybersecurity Defense Institute itself exists largely because of the intelligence operation that Ashley and Mike had been conducting through our marriage. The damage assessment that followed their arrest revealed vulnerabilities in American cybersecurity infrastructure so significant that Congress authorized the creation of an entirely new agency dedicated to protecting critical systems from the kind of systematic foreign penetration that had been occurring under our roof for over a decade. My role as Strategic Counterintelligence Division Director involves oversight of operations designed to detect and prevent foreign intelligence services from penetrating American cybersecurity capabilities through the recruitment of assets positioned within government agencies, defense contractors, and technology companies. The protocols I developed for detecting Ashley and Mike's espionage activities
have become the foundation for counterintelligence procedures now implemented across every major government cybersecurity op. The work is demanding and often involves travel to classified facilities where foreign intelligence threats are assessed and defensive measures are planned. The security clearances required for the position are among the highest granted to civilian officials, providing access to intelligence operations and defensive capabilities that represent the most sensitive aspects of American national security plan. But perhaps the most personally meaningful aspect of the work is the opportunity to prevent other professionals from experiencing the kind of systematic betrayal and exploitation that had characterized my marriage to my. The counterintelligence training programs I have developed help government employees and defense contractor personnel recognize the signs of foreign intelligence recruitment and understand how personal relationships can be exploited for espionage purposes. The training sessions often include detailed case studies based on Ashley and Mike's operation, though the identities and personal details are carefully protected to maintain operational security. The psychological techniques used by foreign intelligence services to identify and recruit assets, the methods employed to build trust and exploit vulnerabilities, and the sophisticated planning required to conduct long-term penetration operations, are all illustrated through examples drawn from their systematic exploitation of our marriage. The response from training participants has been overwhelmingly positive, with many professionals expressing gratitude for understanding how foreign intelligence operations actually function and how personal relationships can be targeted for exploitation. The feedback consistently indicates that the training has helped individuals recognize potential recruitment attempts and understand the importance of reporting suspicious contacts or requests for sensitive information. But the training programs also serve a broader purpose in helping government employees and contractors understand that being targeted by foreign intelligence services is not a reflection of personal failure or professional inadequacy. The sophisticated nature of modern espionage operations means that highly educated and professionally successful individuals are often the most attractive targets for foreign intelligence recruitment, precisely because their access to sensitive information and their positions within critical organizations make them valuable assets. The psychological support services that accompany the counterintelligence training programs are designed to help individuals process the emotional challenges of discovering that personal relationships may have been exploited for intelligence purposes. The counseling protocols I helped develop draw on my own experience of surviving systematic betrayal while maintaining professional effectiveness and personal resilience. The research and development projects overseen by the Strategic Counterintelligence Division focus on emerging threats to American cybersecurity infrastructure, particularly those involving the use of advanced technology and sophisticated social engineering techniques to penetrate critical systems. The threat assessment reports we produce are distributed to the highest levels of government and defense leadership, informing policy decisions about cybersecurity investments and counterintelligence priorities. One of the most significant projects currently under development involves the creation of artificial intelligence systems designed to detect patterns of behavior that may indicate foreign intelligence recruitment or insider threat activity. The machine learning algorithms being developed can analyze communication patterns, travel records, financial transactions, and professional activities to identify individuals who may be at risk of foreign intelligence exploitation or who may already be providing information to hostile intelligence services. The AI detection systems represent a revolutionary advancement in counterintelligence capabilities, but they also raise complex ethical questions about privacy rights and the appropriate scope of government surveillance of American citizens. The balance between protecting national security and preserving civil liberties requires careful consideration of legal frameworks and oversight mechanisms that ensure counterintelligence capabilities are used appropriately and effectively. The policy development work involves extensive consultation with congressional intelligence committees, federal judges who oversee surveillance operations, and civil liberties organizations that monitor government cybersecurity activity. The goal is to create counterintelligence capabilities that are both effective in detecting foreign intelligence threats and consistent with American constitutional principles and legal protection. The international cooperation aspects of the work have been particularly rewarding, involving collaboration with allied intelligence services to share information about foreign intelligence threats and coordinate defensive measures against systematic espionage operations. The intelligence sharing relationships with British, Canadian, Australian, and other allied cybersecurity agencies have provided insights into foreign intelligence activities that help protect American interests while strengthening international cooperation against common threats. The diplomatic aspects of cybersecurity cooperation require careful navigation of competing national interests and differing legal frameworks, but the shared recognition of foreign intelligence threats has created opportunities for unprecedented cooperation in protecting critical infrastructure and sensitive information from systematic exploitation. The academic connections that have developed through the work include visiting professorships at leading cybersecurity programs and research collaborations with university-based experts who are developing new techniques for detecting and preventing sophisticated cyber threats. The academic partnerships provide opportunities to stay current with emerging technologies and theoretical developments, while contributing practical insights from operational counterintelligence experience. The publishing opportunities that have emerged from the work include classified research reports for government audiences and unclassified articles for academic and professional publications that help advance understanding of counterintelligence challenges and defensive techniques. The writing projects require careful attention to operational security considerations, but they provide valuable platforms for sharing lessons learned and contributing to the broader cybersecurity community. The speaking engagements at professional conferences and government training facilities have created opportunities to educate other cybersecurity professionals about foreign intelligence threats and effective defensive measures. The presentations often focus on case studies and practical techniques, while avoiding sensitive operational details that could compromise ongoing counterintelligence activity. But perhaps the most personally meaningful aspect of the professional recognition has been the opportunity to mentor young professionals who are entering cybersecurity careers with interests in counterintelligence and national security applications. The mentoring relationships provide opportunities to share both technical expertise and personal insights about maintaining professional effectiveness and emotional resilience in demanding and sometimes dangerous work. The young professionals I work with often express fascination with the technical aspects of cybersecurity and counterintelligence, but they also need guidance about the personal challenges that can accompany work involving sophisticated threats and systematic deception. The mentoring conversations often focus on maintaining healthy relationships and personal boundaries, while developing the professional skills and emotional resilience required for effective counterintelligence work. The personal relationships that have developed through the work include friendships with colleagues who understand both the technical challenges of cybersecurity operations and the emotional complexities of protecting sensitive information from sophisticated threats. The shared professional experiences and mutual understanding of operational challenges have created friendships that extend beyond workplace collaboration. The romantic relationships that have developed since my divorce from Mike have been complicated by my professional prominence and the public awareness of how my marriage was exploited for espionage purposes. The men I meet through professional activities often approach relationships with someone who detected and documented a major foreign intelligence operation with a mixture of admiration and intimidation that can create barriers to genuine personal connection. However, I have found that the experience of surviving systematic betrayal and emerging professionally stronger has provided clarity about the kind of personal relationships that are worth pursuing and the importance of maintaining independence and professional identity regardless of romantic circumstances. The dating experiences have been educational in understanding how professional success and public recognition can affect personal relationships in both positive and challenging ways. The financial security that has resulted from the professional advancement and legal settlements has provided independence and opportunities to focus on meaningful work rather than simply lucrative projects. The compensation for senior government positions is modest compared to private sector cybersecurity consulting, but the work provides satisfaction and purpose that financial rewards alone cannot match. The investments in financial planning that have accompanied the career advancement focus on long-term security and the ability to maintain independence regardless of future professional or personal circumstances. The lessons learned from discovering that Mike had been systematically exploiting our joint financial resources for espionage-related activities have informed careful attention to financial independence and security. The real estate investments include properties that provide both personal enjoyment and financial security. Though all acquisitions are carefully reviewed through government security procedures to ensure they do not create vulnerabilities or conflicts of interest that could be exploited by foreign intelligence services, the charitable activities that have become possible through financial security focus primarily on supporting educational opportunities for young people interested in cybersecurity careers and providing resources for organizations that help victims of espionage and systematic deception recover from traumatic experience. The educational scholarships I have established provide support for students pursuing cybersecurity degrees with interests in government service and national security applications. The scholarship recipients often express gratitude for financial assistance, but they also value the mentoring relationships and professional guidance that accompany the educational support. The victim support organizations receive funding and volunteer assistance for programs that help individuals process the emotional trauma of discovering that personal relationships have been exploited for criminal or intelligence purposes. The counseling services and support groups provide resources that were not available during my own recovery from systematic betrayal, and I hope they help other victims recover more quickly and effectively. The research funding I provide to academic institutions supports studies of foreign intelligence recruitment techniques, the psychological impact of systematic deception, and the development of training programs that help individuals recognize and resist exploitation attempts. The research projects contribute to understanding of threats and defensive measures while supporting the academic community that educates future cybersecurity professionals. The house in Westlake Hills has been completely transformed from the crime scene it became during Ashley and Mike's espionage operation into a secure and comfortable home that reflects my personal interests and professional achievement. The renovation process involved not just aesthetic changes, but also the installation of security systems that meet federal standards for protecting classified materials and conducting sensitive government work. The home office where I first received Ashley's midnight photograph has been expanded into a secure facility that includes communication equipment for classified government operations, secure storage for sensitive documents, and technology systems that provide encrypted connections to government networks and defense contractor facilities. The bedroom where Ashley had photographed herself with Mike has been redesigned as a personal sanctuary that represents independence, professional success, and recovery from systematic betrayal. The furnishings and decor reflect my personal aesthetic rather than the compromise style that had characterized my marriage, and the space serves as a reminder of resilience and personal growth. The living areas of the house have been designed for both personal relaxation and professional entertaining, with spaces suitable for hosting colleagues and friends who understand the unique challenges of cybersecurity work and the personal costs that can accompany professional success in protecting national security interests. The outdoor spaces include gardens and recreational areas that provide opportunities for relaxation and stress relief from the demanding nature of counterintelligence work. The landscaping incorporates both aesthetic elements and security considerations appropriate for someone who works with highly classified information and may be targeted by foreign intelligence services. But perhaps the most significant change in the house is the absence of any reminders of the systematic deception that had characterized my marriage to Mike. The family photographs, shared possessions, and joint investments that had provided cover for espionage activities have been completely removed, replaced with personal items and professional recognition that represent my authentic interests and achievement. The guest accommodations have been designed for hosting professional colleagues and friends who visit for cybersecurity conferences, government meetings, or personal recreation. The security measures ensure that sensitive conversations and classified materials can be protected, while providing comfortable and welcoming spaces for personal and professional relations. Ashley's current situation in federal prison represents the complete failure of the intelligence operation she had spent years developing and the permanent destruction of her professional prospects and personal freedom. The life sentence without possibility of parole ensures that she will never again have the opportunity to conduct espionage activities or exploit personal relations for intelligence gathering purposes. The prison reports I received through official channels indicate that Ashley has maintained the discipline and operational security consciousness that characterized her intelligence career, refusing to provide information about other foreign intelligence operatives or ongoing espionage operations, despite offers of sentence reduction in exchange for cooperation. Her continued silence suggests either extraordinary loyalty to foreign intelligence services that recruited and trained her, or fear of retaliation from intelligence networks that might be compromised by her cooperation with American authorities. Either way, her refusal to assist ongoing counterintelligence investigations ensures that she will serve her complete sentence without hope of early release or transfer to more comfortable facilities. The psychological evaluations conducted during her imprisonment indicate that Ashley continues to view her espionage activities as legitimate intelligence work rather than criminal behavior, suggesting that her foreign intelligence training included ideological conditioning that remains intact despite her conviction and imprisonment. Mike's situation in federal prison reflects the complete collapse of the successful pharmaceutical career he had built before becoming involved in foreign intelligence activity. The 35-year sentence ensures that he will remain in custody well into his 70s, with limited prospects for meaningful life outside prison even if he survives to complete his sentence. The cooperation he provided to federal prosecutors resulted in the identification and conviction of several other individuals who had been recruited by foreign intelligence services. But his assistance was limited by his relatively peripheral role in the broader espionage network and his lack of detailed knowledge about intelligence operations beyond his specific recruitment and tasking. The prison reports indicate that Mike has struggled with the psychological adjustment to long-term imprisonment and the recognition that his decisions to support foreign intelligence activities have permanently destroyed his career, family relationships, and prospects for future success. The counseling services available in federal prison have provided some assistance, but the magnitude of his sentence and the nature of his crimes have created challenges that extend beyond typical rehabilitation programs. His correspondence with family members and former colleagues has been limited by security restrictions and the social stigma associated with espionage conviction. The friends and professional contacts who once formed his social and business networks have generally distanced themselves from association with someone convicted of betraying American national security interests. The foreign intelligence services that recruited and managed Ashley and Mike have presumably moved on to other operations and assets. Though the comprehensive disruption of their network has likely required significant time and resources to rebuild capabilities that were destroyed through their arrests and convictions. The damage assessment conducted by American intelligence agencies suggests that the foreign intelligence services involved in Operation Digital Deception have been forced to fundamentally reorganize their American operations and develop new recruitment strategies that take into account enhanced counterintelligence awareness and detection capabilities. The long-term impact of disrupting their intelligence network extends beyond the immediate loss of specific assets and information to include the psychological effect of demonstrating that sophisticated foreign intelligence operations can be detected and prosecuted by individuals with appropriate expertise and determination. The international implications of the case have included diplomatic protest from countries whose intelligence services were involved in the operation. But the comprehensive evidence and successful prosecutions have generally strengthened American credibility in international discussions about cybersecurity cooperation and counterintelligence sharing. The precedent established by the case has influenced legal frameworks and prosecution strategies for subsequent espionage cases, providing models for evidence collection, international cooperation, and courtroom presentation that have been used in other major counterintelligence investigations. But perhaps the most significant long-term impact has been the demonstration that foreign intelligence services cannot assume that their operations will remain undetected simply because they target individuals who appear to lack sophisticated counterintelligence awareness or training. The case has become a cautionary tale for foreign intelligence services about the risks of underestimating potential targets and the importance of comprehensive operational security, even when conducting recruitment and exploitation activities that appear to involve naive or unsuspecting individuals. The lessons learned from Ashley and Mike's operation continue to influence counterintelligence training, threat assessment, procedures, and defensive measures designed to protect American cybersecurity infrastructure from foreign penetration. The techniques they used and the vulnerabilities they exploited have been systematically analyzed and addressed through enhanced security protocols and awareness programs. The personal satisfaction I derive from the work comes not just from professional recognition or career advancement, but from the knowledge that my experience of surviving systematic betrayal has been transformed into capabilities that protect other individuals and critical national security interests from similar exploitation. The midnight photograph that Ashley sent 5 years ago, intended to devastate me emotionally and destroy my marriage, instead provided the final motivation needed to complete a counterintelligence investigation that has protected American cybersecurity infrastructure from one of the most sophisticated foreign intelligence operations in modern history. Her attempt to hurt me with evidence of her relationship with Mike became the catalyst for detecting and disrupting a foreign intelligence network that had been systematically compromising American national security interests for over 15 years. The photos she never expected were not just the surveillance images that documented her arrest and conviction, but also the professional recognition photographs from government ceremonies, the academic conference presentation, and the official portraits that accompany senior government appointments. They represent the transformation of personal betrayal into professional purpose, the conversion of systematic deception into enhanced defensive capabilities, and the evolution from victimization to leadership in protecting others from similar exploitation. Ashley thought she was ending a marriage with provocative photographs that would emotionally destroy a naive, suburban wife. Instead, she provided the evidence that enabled the detection and prosecution of one of the most significant foreign intelligence operations in American legal history. Mike believed he could exploit his wife's cybersecurity expertise and security clearances for personal gain and romantic satisfaction while maintaining the facade of a successful marriage. Instead, he created a comprehensive record of espionage activities that resulted in federal convictions and prison sentences that will define the remainder of his life.